Two of the most targeted groups when it comes to scams are seniors and newcomers to Canada. Romance scams, grandparent scams, people posing as Government of Canada employees, and fake emails are some of the most common ways that con artists strike. According to the RCMP, seniors alone lost more than $9.2 million to scams in 2022. So all of this month, we are looking at scams and how you can protect yourself. For more, we're joined by tech analyst Carmi Levy this morning. Welcome, Carmi.
Great to be here.
First of all, let's look at what factors make these two specific groups vulnerable.
Well, I think part of it is, technology aptitude. For example, thinking of my own grandmother back in the day, she wasn't exactly, she didn't spend her life using technology. It came to her later in life. And so a lot of folks in older demographics, they're not what are called digital natives. As a result, they may not be familiar with the ins and outs of how the technology works, more likely to be duped when that phone rings or when they get a message, an email or a text message. They may be more likely to respond to it because, oh, it's someone who's there to help me. And they don't quite know what to look for, what's wrong. We're also seeing, obviously, an aging of the Canadian population. So as Canadians age, the prevalence of conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's is going up. That, rather sadly, plays a role in this. And there's no shame in the criminal community. They are bearing down on this, targeting individuals who they know will be less likely, less able to respond to these kinds of scams. If you're a newcomer, you may not be familiar with the local laws. You may not be sort of know the ins and outs of what individuals can and cannot do. If you're applying for an apartment, for example, you may not know that the law prevents someone from asking for specific fees. So you pay it because you wouldn't know otherwise. Scammers know this. And again, they kind of weasel their way in between.
A commonality in both of these groups is there's a certain degree of innate trust. Older people like grandparents want to see the good in people. Newcomers often rely on other community members and people in positions of authority for help adjusting to a new life. So in what ways do scammers prey on these trusts?
So, what they do is they reach out to those individuals and they offer them things that would otherwise be hard for them to get. If you're a senior citizen and you're trying to navigate the government bureaucracy to figure out your pension and other services that you have access to, they'll offer, we'll take care of that. We'll do that. If you're a newcomer and you're looking to find a job, look for training, get language education, they'll say, okay, we'll walk you through that. You don't have to go to those websites. We'll do that on your behalf. Just hand it over to us and trust us. And if you're new to the country, you don't have a network of trusted people around you, so you let them do it. And of course, once you hand it over, that's when the trouble begins.
Carmi, I'm not in either of those groups, but sometimes I feel vulnerable as well because these scams are almost indistinguishable from the real deal. For example, here's a text that claims to be from a TD warning a customer that their account has been suspended. So what are some of the suspicious signs to look for to identify this as a scam? Because look, it has a TD Canada Trust website.
Well, that's the thing. Looking at that website, that should be the tell. Two things there. TDCanadaTrustWallet.com is not a legitimate TD bank or TD financial institution URL. So already what they'll do is they'll include TD, or if it's the CIBC or RBC, they'll include it in the web name, but it won't be the actual web name. So go to the website to confirm the exact URL, and if the text isn't the same, that should be your sign. Do not click on that link. Also, take a look at the first four letters, HTTP. It's not HTTPS. S stands for secure. No legitimate organization would have a website without an S in 2024.
That is a really valuable piece of information. This happened to my parents yesterday. We were trying to register them for some streaming services, and there were a couple letters off in one of the websites. I was like, that's a fake one, and then we went to the real one. So you've pointed out that people need to think hard when they receive offers. If they're being called a great opportunity, who is the call coming from, like out of the blue on a Sunday night? What are some other ways that people can look for to stay safe?
The first thing that I do is I always try to verify the legitimacy of the individual calling me. So just because someone calls and says they are who they say they are doesn't mean that I should believe it. Or if I get an email or a text message that sort of claims to be coming from a certain source, what I'll do is instead of clicking on the link that they provide or trusting that they are who they say they are, I'll go outside. I'll open up a separate browser window and I'll say, okay, where do they work? Can I find them on LinkedIn? Do they have a website? Are they legitimate members of my local local or regional business community. And if I can't find any information on them on the outside, which I won't because they're fake profiles, that should be my tell. So the first thing that we really need to do is cut off that communication, go on the outside, do our own creeping or due diligence or research. And if we don't find anything on these individuals or these organizations who claim who they say they are, that's when we cut them off completely.
Carmen, this is really valuable information today. Thank you.
Appreciate being here, Anne-Marie. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.